from Article 243. Part 9 ranges from Article 243 to 243O. And then Part 9A, municipalities, it ranges from 243B to 243ZG. Okay. Now then comes cooperative societies from ZH to ZT. Okay. I repeat, it's Part 9B of the Indian Constitution that comes after Panchayat and municipalities. So today we will be learning very briefly on the cooperative societies. We don't have much to analyze, much to go too deep into. Everybody knows what cooperative societies is, right? Everybody knows what cooperative societies is. So it was aided by the 97 Constitutional Amendment Act of 2011. Okay. Now, the constitutional significance of Part 9B is to promote democratic functioning, ensure autonomous management, reduce political interference in matters of cooperative societies, to improve accountability and transparency, and to strengthen grassroots economic institutions. Can anyone give me the definition of cooperative societies? It's an institution or it's an organization in which all the members pool in their resources for their own mutual benefit, okay, for a common goal. Okay, they always have a common goal, and every member is considered an equal member of the society. So this particular Part 9B of the Indian Constitution regulates the functioning of cooperative societies, the different rights, the ways in which cooperative societies should function, the ways in which the state intervenes or gets involved in cooperative societies in matters of its formation, functioning, and so forth. We will learn everything about cooperative societies. What is the rule behind setting up of cooperative society? How do we run cooperative societies, and so forth? Now, these are the three changes by the 97th Amendment Act. As I've mentioned, 97 Constitutional Amendment Act of 2011 added these three changes. Okay, one, Article 9(1)(c), right to form cooperative societies. Now, does anyone remember Article 19? Article 19, protection of 6 rights regarding freedom of speech and expression, and assembly, association, movement, residence, and profession. Okay, so it comes under which part? Protection of 6 rights regarding freedom of 19(1)(a) is speech and expression. 19(1)(b) is assembly. 19(1)(c) is association. So it comes under association. Okay, right to form associations as well as cooperative societies. 19(1)(c). Okay, so it comes under fundamental rights. Okay, so now right to form cooperative societies is a fundamental right. It's a very important point. Okay, and Article 43B is directive principles of state policy. Okay, Article 43 mentions the formation, control, and professional management of cooperative societies. It is it is encouraging the state to promote voluntary formation of cooperative societies and ensure that it has ensure a democratic control over it, meaning yes, have some restrictions, but give them as much liberty as possible, as much democratic ideals as possible in order for them to function independently. And also professional management of cooperative societies makes rules and so forth. So it added Article 19(1)(c) in the fundamental rights. It also added Article 43B in the directive principles of state policy. It also added Part 9B Articles 243ZH to 243ZT. Okay? So it added these three parts. One is one of the parts of the Indian Constitution. 19(1)(c) is a fundamental right. Article 43B is a directive principles of state policy. Now these are the articles at a glance. We will be studying them one by one. Article 243ZH, it's sequential, okay? HIJKLMNOBQRST, right? So Article 243ZH will contain the definitions, the different definitions surrounding cooperative societies, and Article 243ZI will contain the incorporation of cooperative societies, and Article 243ZJ will entail the board and the management of cooperative societies, how many directors there should be, right? What are the powers and functions of the board members of the cooperative societies and so forth. 243ZK will contain the ways in which elections are held for cooperative societies. 243ZL will contain supersession. Supersession is a takeover of a cooperative society by an appointee of the government. In our case, when the cooperative society, the board members of the cooperative society is no longer capable, or maybe they misuse their fund. So at times of an emergency, there is this method called supersession, in which the government appoints some individuals to run the cooperative societies in the absence of board members. Okay, usually happens when the board members are unable, or in case of the inability, or in case of their misconduct, mismanagement of funds and so forth, they are removed, and for a certain period of time, there's a supersession period. Okay, it's for maximum 6 months. We'll learn more about that when the time comes. 243ZM to 243ZQ, the audit, AGM, returns and penalties. We will learn about that. The cooperative societies should maintain audit and so forth. 243ZR to 243ZT will contain MSCS, which you will learn about that. Union territories, multi-state cooperative societies, union territories, and existing laws. Okay, existing laws. Again, every time you hear the term existing laws in the Indian Constitution, it was there at the commencement of the Indian Constitution, or at the commencement of at the time when the law was passed. For example, in our case here, since it was introduced only in the year 2011, okay, it will not contain. It does not mean any law that existed before the commencement of the Constitution, but rather any law that existed before 2011. Okay, for the smooth transitioning, the existing laws will continue to exist for a certain period of time. Now, shall we start with the first, 243ZH, the definitions. Here, Article 243H, these are the definitions. It only defines some terms. Board, meaning governing body of the cooperative society. Board members will be chosen that will serve as the governing body of the cooperative society. And then the cooperative society, a society formed for the mutual benefit of its members. Okay, it's for the mutual benefit of its members. They have a common goal. And multi-state cooperative society are those societies that operate in more than one state. Office bearers, chairperson, president, secretary, and other elected executives, and registrar, government authority responsible for registration and supervision of cooperative societies, who is a government employee and who will handle the registration and supervision of cooperative societies. Okay, in Nagaland, in cooperative department, the highest rank is registrar. Okay, it's not director, it's not commissioner. They use the term registrar. Remember, Article 243ZH only defines important terms. It does not create powers or duties, just a definition. Article 243ZI, the incorporation of cooperative societies. Okay, incorporation. How can the cooperative societies be formed? Incorporation means formation. So state legislature will make laws. Cooperative societies, which means cooperative societies is a state lease. Okay, cooperative societies is a state lease. The state legislature is given the autonomy to make laws for incorporation, regulation, and winding up, which means dissolving the cooperative societies. Okay, for incorporation, regulation, and winding up of cooperative societies. Voluntary formation is one feature. People join willingly, not by force, not by statute, not by mandate, but it's a voluntary formation. A democratic member control, one member, one vote. Like I said, every member is an equal member of any kind of cooperative society. Member participation, members actively participate in management and benefits. Autonomous functioning, it operates independently without unnecessary government interference. Okay, the government provides the basic framework, but in the overall day-to-day functioning, it is they're by and large independent of the government scrutiny. Only in matters such as audit, accounts, and so forth, they need to maintain it. So they need to maintain it really, really well. Now you understand that it is the state that makes laws for incorporation, regulation, and dissolving the cooperative societies. Okay, Article 243ZI talks about incorporation of cooperative societies, and Article 243ZJ talks about the board of directors of a cooperative society. Okay, board of directors. It's always called board of directors. The board members are always called directors. And any kind of, I will show you office bearer, right? We call office bearer in our own students' union office bearers. So these office bearers will be chosen from the board of directors for president, chairperson, and so forth. It's up to them. But the government mandates that there should be a maximum of 21 directors, not more than 21 directors. And out of these directors, reservation, one seat for SC or ST and 2 seats for women, okay, will be reserved. And the term will be 5 years. And up to 2 co-opted experts. Yes, you can see the definition. To appoint or select someone to become a member of the committee or board, usually because of their expertise rather than through election. So these directors are elected through election, but co-opted experts are directly chosen, okay, directly recruited because of their experiences, because of their expertise, okay. Experts cannot vote or become office bearers, okay. They can only advise, they can only add, but they cannot vote and they cannot become office bearers. A very important point, co-opt. It's a very important term, okay? Remember that. Now, elections and supersession. First, we have 243Z, okay? Elections. Elections should be held before the expiry of the term, just like Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. It should be conducted by authority prescribed by state law. Again, the state will decide who conducts election for cooperative societies, okay? It is the state that prescribes. So, Article 243ZL talks about supersession limited to maximum 6 months. Let's first look at the definition. Supersession means removing the existing elected board and temporarily replacing it with another arrangement, usually an administrator or interim management. Okay, I don't know of any case in which supersession happened, but even though it's not a cooperative society, the municipal council, Dimapur Municipal Council and Kohima Municipal Council was in a supersessional phase for almost, I think, 20 years here in Nagaland, because the last municipal election was in the year 2005, and ever since we did not have the municipal elections, mainly as a protest of the males against the reservation of women. So it had a supersession phase in which an administrator was appointed by the government. The last, I think, administrator of Dimapur Municipal Council was Manpai, who's also the Deputy Commissioner of Longling right now. So usually in such a case, administrator or interim management will be appointed by the government, okay? So in case of supersession, these are the grounds: default, negligence, financial management, persistent failure, which are all common grounds. So supersession will be limited to maximum 6 months, and after which elections should be held. Okay, supersession is limited to maximum 6 months, after which elections should be held. Now, for cooperative societies, we also have the financial accountability. All the cooperative societies should be financially accountable, and by financial accountability, I mean they should maintain annual audit. All the accounts should be audited within 6 months, and they also need to have government-approved auditors. Okay, So, for example, in a cooperative society, even if it is, forget about cooperative societies. You look at schools and colleges, Patkai Christian College, okay? Patkai Christian College, who is the auditor? Who handles the accounts of Patkai Christian College? The official divisional accounts officer of electrical power department, one department last day, DAO na. Around Nagaland Baptist Church Council, NPCC, Nagaland la sabse dangor do. The accountant of this NPCC is our senior treasury officer, Lima Tumse, who is the senior treasury officer of North Treasury Kohima. Na, in a government employees can, auditors can rake. So, for example, my title right now is JTA, but if mon the palapali we can go to treasury, we can go to audit and so forth. In future, I may be an auditor. So government approved auditors can maybe government approved auditor class. So I can audit. They can hire me for auditing the cooperative societies. Okay, inya thake. So government employees guna amnila contribution na thigyo guna na pabi. Amnila ki department is dula hisab te ara you can approach schools, colleges na. Like Unity College, SM College, all these government employees can handle great than accounts can da dan tie up corner because one ba jane do kina handle kor lage mon ba jane do all the terms and conditions, the minor head, major head, revenue receipt, revenue expenditure, capital receipt, capital expenditure, how everything needs to be calculated and so forth. To mohan laga we are indispensable. So if you're really capable, if you're really good at your government job, there are lots of ways of earning good incomes, okay, other than your salary, because we know salary, but we cannot survive in today's day and age. So it's similar with cooperative societies. The government approved auditors will audit a cooperative society within 6 months, and there should be an annual general meeting. General meeting, ek part of annual general meeting. Cooperative societies there. Right to information. Every member of cooperative societies has the right to obtain information about the affairs of cooperative societies from the board of directors. They have every right to know everything in our class today. Right to information. For example, if all 5 of us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 of us, we form a cooperative societies, and 2 is chosen as the director, and let's say Angami is the chairperson, and then Sulila is the secretary, and both these 2 are directors by default, right? So any one of us can ask both of them about the activities of cooperative society because they hold the executive power, they hold the financial power. They are the ones that practically manage the finances of the cooperative society. So we can ask them, we can question them. Okay, this is what Article 243(ZO) means: right to information. Members have the right to obtain information about the affairs of the cooperative society, subject to the law and bylaws. Okay, subject to whatever laws is in the cooperative society's constitution. They form their own constitution. They have their own set of laws, right? Returns and penalties. Again, Article 243(ZB). Again, it's about audit, accounts, and so forth. Cooperative societies must file annual returns and must audit their accounts, must maintain annual report, must maintain surplus disposal plan. So what is surplus disposal plan? In any kind of organization, or even if you're an officer, let's say you have a TTO power, let's say you are an ATC, Additional Deputy Commissioner, in an outpost where you have the power of a TTO, drawing and dispersing officer, which means any money that comes to your office needs your signature, right? So the government sends a budget of, let's say, 1 crore 50 lakhs for 6-month period for salary. That's just a salary head, okay? Salary head is not the minor, major head, and then there's salary head, and then capital head, and so forth. There are lots of head, okay? So let's just say that it's a salary head, and salary digin na apni 10 lakhs position. Officer kan to khai diya to. Na, live cooperative society de to khawa na pro. Officers kan do ito surplus fund budget to government ke pek na patay na training kan loise ki kan loise guna khai diya. Apni de yedi khawa na pro. Surplus disposal plan bi thak pi thagyo. Pusa budget uto kini ka cholawa ro. Uto tak pi plan thagyo lage ko ase. The cooperative society ekdam strict na. And Article 243(ZQ), in case of false returns, returns can false facts can ase gulido, there will be penalties. Okay, so penalties vary from one state to another. We have our own sets of laws. Assam has their own state. So like I said, every state has a power to make rules and regulations for cooperative societies. So failure to maintain records, election malpractices, employer liability. Okay, all these will have penalties. So that's it. Now, one is now, just like yesterday we talked about elections, it gives power to the parliament to make laws for elections, and then Bahar outside of the Indian constitution, they created the RPA Act 1950 and RPA Act 1951. Right? So in that same way, yet the pura rules and regulations, it gives power. The constitution gives power to various let's say to the parliament, to the state legislature, to make laws. And using that power, Bahar they make laws. So every state makes laws from the powers derived from Part 9b of the Indian Constitution. Okay? And when they make laws from the power for cooperative societies, from the power derived from Part 9b of the Indian Constitution, they take into account the instruction, the encouragement given to them in the TPSP. Right? Itulah hisab de jawa lagi, ensuring that whatever they write, whatever rules and regulations they write, it does not infringe the fundamental rights, Article 19(1)(c) of the Indian Constitution. Okay, not really means the answer writing there. Now, application of Part 9b. These are the areas where Part 9b will be applied. A very surprising turning point, okay? A very surprising turning point. It is state naido. Should Part 9 be applied to the states? It only states multi-state cooperative societies, multi-state. If it affects 2 or more states, and then it mentions union territories, and existing laws, I mentioned about that, right? Existing laws 2011 develop exist rather directly rule change related, the cooperative societies will suffer, which is why to continue temporarily for smooth transition, forget about that. The first two, multi-state cooperative societies and union territories. Now, the state doesn't come under Part 9b, okay? I mentioned in the beginning that cooperative society is a state list. The state has the power to make laws. Now, why does it not come under why the state doesn't come under Part 9b? For a very silly reason, okay? For a very silly reason. Under Article 368, which you will learn about later, an amendment, 368 means amendment of the Indian Constitution, Part 20, okay? Well, we will learn about that on Monday. Now, under Article 368, in order for you to amend the Indian Constitution, if the amendment affects the state, not the union, the state, okay? If the amendment affects the state, or if it affects the legislative powers between the union and the state, it requires the ratification by at least half of the state legislatures. For example, cooperative society is a state list, right? And if it affects, it does affect the legislative power because it is a state that holds the legislative power, meaning it has the power to make laws for the states, for their respective states. Now, since this Article Part 9b of the Indian Constitution affects the legislative powers of the state of Nagaland to make laws for cooperative societies, the center should have consulted Nagaland. And then that Part 9b should be ratified, approved by at least half of the state legislature. Now, what's the total number that we have here? The MLAs, 60. It must have been ratified, approved by at least 30 MLAs. And since the due process to center from Miss Crucial, I don't know for what reason, their intention was to apply to the whole of India, but for some reason they did not get the approval of the state legislatures, which is why in 2021, like I said, 2011, the cooperative society was implemented across India. But there was a case about that, okay? And they used that argument of Article 368 too. And in the Union of India versus Rajendra N. Shah case, the Supreme Court finally held that state ratification under Article 368 was required, which the central government did not fulfill, the parliament did not obtain it, and therefore Part P could only apply to single state, could not apply to single state cooperative societies. Any cooperative society that's within a state, these rules will not apply in other words. So it's very important to remember. And maybe after a few years, right? The parliament will get the approval, the ratification from the states, and utu time juga maybe. Nah, so you have to update yourself. Okay, we will update it for you as obviously. Saljala is up there in your notes, but keep this in mind. A very weird and funny, but also at the same time sensible. Okay, so you understand, right? Part B of the Indian Constitution applies to union territories and multi-state cooperative societies. Okay, multi-state cooperative societies and union territories. Why multi-state? Because it goes beyond the state, so it needs the intervention of the center to handle interstate affairs, right? So automatically multi-state to IJAWO, and then 243 ZS union territories can be IWO. Now the present legal position, Article 19(1)(c) is valid, Article 43(b) is valid, and Part 9(b) for multi-state cooperative societies. Okay, state cooperative societies are now primarily governed by their respective state laws. Right now, this is the present position. Okay, this is the present position. State cooperative societies are now primarily governed by the respective state laws. And key takeaways, please go through it. We have come to the end of the presentation for Part 9B. And next we will, I'll let you know. So key takeaways, Part 9B, constitutionalized cooperative governance, right? It aided cooperative society. Cooperative society became the part of the Indian Constitution. It introduced democratic standards for management, election, and accountability. And following the 2021 Supreme Court judgment, its detailed provisions apply only to multi-state cooperative societies. Now, please remember all this, okay? The Union of India versus Rajendra and Shah. Cooperative societies there, you learned about the maximum number of directors, 21, and it applies only to the multi-state cooperative societies and the union territories. Union of India versus Rajendra Shah, which amendment, 97 amendment of 2011. These are the 5 to 6 facts these are the only facts that you need from Part 9B, okay? But the reason why people don't get through prelims is utu pasta la facts tapi to understand what to study, because of many things to study, you have to make a choice. Kundu kuro lagi, kundu chardio lagi. You don't have time to cover everything, okay? You don't have time to cover everything. So all these important ones, Union of India versus Rajendra and Shah, these out of 10, 9, okay, in terms of importance. IWO 18 nila 18 the IWO cooperative societies lah. Because of the recent judgment also, alright, probably anay. Which means IWO le change hase. Okay, very important point. Now we have come